As you know, we live in a body, we have a soul, and we are a spirit, and I believe it's important to feed all three parts. I'm Tonyah Dee, registered dietitian, and this is my recommendation for feeding body, soul, and spirit for this month. The overall theme is establish a safe and stable paths to higher ground, to higher powers, to better physical, psychological, and spiritual health and well-being. So, my recommendations for feeding body is to establish routines. Now, when I say this, it doesn't mean it has to be hard and fast. It has to be more like you're doing these routines generally every day. So, recovery programs, did you realize one of the things they recommend right off the bat is to establish some routines? Routines create safety for us. It creates stability. So if you can think of what's your routine, what feeds your body? What kind of a routine feeds your body and your soul and your spirit? But what time do you like to get up in the morning? What kind of food do you like to eat? When do you like to eat it? When do you like to exercise? And begin to think about routines that really work for you. And what happens is the more you can stick to this schedule, this routine, the more they become habits where you don't really have to think about it anymore. You're getting up at a certain time, you're making it to your meditation, you're eating your 3 meals during the day, or however you want to craft your food intake. But really think about establishing a plan for your specific routine. And then your body starts to get sort of automatic. You don't have to think about it. And you're automatically doing some healthy habits, and that's going to help your physical well-being and health. So in the soul, what I recommend for this month is to work on self-control. Now, what is self-control? Actually, the word self is synonymous, meaning the same as soul. So self-control, controlling ourself, is actually trying to control our soul, which is a ridiculously hard thing to do because our soul loves free expression. But what we can do for self-control of the soul is our mind, our emotions, and our will. So it's our thoughts, our feelings, and our desires, our actions. So to have self-control, we can begin to really know when our soul is kind of acting out. Are your mind, are your thoughts kind of going crazy? Well, self-control over your mind would be to just listen. Listen, oh, my thoughts are going crazy. Don't act out on the thoughts. Observe the thoughts, witness the thoughts, and determine which thoughts need to stay and which thoughts need to go. That's self-control. And around your feelings come and they go. And self-control around your feelings is to be able to say, I'm having feelings right now. What feelings are they? So a trick for controlling our feelings is knowing what feelings we're feeling in the first place, and then able to kind of determine where it's coming from, how do they need to be processed, how do they need to get outside of you, do they need to be spoken about. So self-control over our emotions is really identifying what emotion we're having. And self-control over our will, our desires, I want this and I want that, is again one of the best tricks with all self-control of the soul is witnessing and observing before taking action. So our will is constantly speaking to us. I want this. I don't want that. I hunger for this. I don't hunger for that. I reject this. And if we can really learn to listen to our soul versus act out, I want this, and so I'm going to have it right now. I don't want this, so I'm going to reject it right now. And we just sort of determine more of, well, I'm just going to sit on these things. I'm going to control my soul, observe, listen, and then take action once I feel like I'm in control over my soul, that I'm in control over my soul. Whew, that's a tough one. So in our soul, what I recommend for our mind is the mind likes to work, and it actually really thrives in structure. So this month, use your mind to pen out an inspired plan for your year. How exactly is your will speaking to you about how it wants your year to go? How do you want your year to go? And take your mind and spend some time planning it out. I always love that. Fail to plan, plan to fail. Because in general, even just planning has a visualization effect that can help with a manifestation of the plan. So use your mind this month to write out an inspired plan. Inspired means it's inspired by spirit down here, like inside. What's the big plan for you for the year? And think big. Have a plan that includes some of your dreams, some of your deep desires, some of the things that your will is speaking to you. I want this. Oh, okay, let's have a plan about that. In our emotions, I think we're in a general overall state of fear. I think the world right now, and it has just a lot of fear, right? We see it everywhere. We feel it. We're having to manage our fear. So one of the ways we can have that self-control over our fear is to give the fear our ear. When you know that you're starting to feel afraid, you feel anxious, you feel worried, really you're going to have to turn towards that fear and ask it some questions. Is this fear valid? Is this fear something I need to take care of? It might be a valid fear, like, hey, you haven't paid your taxes yet, or something like that. It might be a valid fear, or it's just generalized fear. And then give it your ear, give it your compassionate ear, and see if you can either let it go because it's just hogwash, or, hey, I need to take action, and write that in your inspired plan. So in our will, this is where we can create boundaries. Now, boundaries is a kind of a tough thing to do because we want to be able to, do everything and flow with everybody. But boundaries are a way to keep us safe and stable. Here's a good question for yourself. Are you watching your own back? Do you have your own back? So if you don't, I would recommend starting to create boundaries for yourself. What you need, what you don't need. I have this boundary. I need love and affection. I have this boundary. I don't need people who are just takers, or I need to talk to that taker about balancing out that relationship, making it a give and take relationship. So boundaries are really very, very helpful to keep us feeling safe. I don't need violence in my life, and stable. I need to go to bed at 9 o'clock. That's a boundary. So one of the places the boundary where we'll hear where our boundaries are is not just from our soul will be telling us, hey, I don't like this, you're not protecting me. But we'll also hear our boundaries from our spirit. Now, this month, I recommend really contemplating a name for the spirit is the Spirit of Truth. And this makes all the difference in the world when you know that the Spirit of Truth, God's Spirit, is located at the center of our heart, and He's always speaking truth. So we can use this truth to establish our boundaries, to determine what we really are fearful about, to make our own inspired plan from this inner truth, like this is my life, this is my destiny, I need to have this plan. So when you're really connected to the Spirit of Truth in your heart, part of using that truth ends up, if you can flow it through all areas of your life, through your soul, through self-control. You listen, self-control, sometimes you just go, the path is from your mind down to your heart. It's developing this path of, oh, I feel out of control, and taking that path down to your heart and saying, hey, I feel out of control, help me. And maybe you'll hear some truth, some wisdom that can help you with that issue. So using the Spirit of Truth really wants to, the Spirit of Truth wants to protect you, wants to keep you safe, and is the rock, is a place of stability. It's always here at the center of your heart. You can always rely on an inner truth being right here, so you don't have to go out there and find it. So I hope that this was helpful. I'm Tonyah Dee again. Remember, it's important for overall well-being to feed body, soul, and spirit. So listen and then take action. Hope you have a great month. Thanks so much for being part of the community. Oh, go in grace and with grace.